Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the summit. My name is Thomas Edds. I own Electric Distribution and Design Systems. And you can see my name over there on the left, EDDS. It is Edds, not Edds. I've been an electrical contractor here in the Dallas area since 1982. Wired the 62-story Momentum Bank, the second tallest building in Dallas, the Federal Reserve Bank, the Crescent, all the IBMs, all the TI wafer fabs and everything. But been around, I had a 2,800 employee company here in the Dallas until 9/11. And then when 9/11 happened, everything kind of went south. So I sold off what was left of my company and started my wind and solar company. So we've been doing wind and solar for about 19 years. I am from out in West Texas, out Midland, Odessa, if you can't tell my slang. So, but wind makes very good sense out there. Not so much here in the Dallas area. A horizontal wind turbine like the ones in the picture there, it takes a 36 to 38 mile an hour wind to get one to work at its rating. We don't get 36 to 38 mile an hour winds here in the Dallas area, except for at the winter nights. And so for that reason, anything west of Weatherford is good. North of Denton is marginal until you get up in Oklahoma. But solar works. There's no moving parts. A wind turbine, there's not a wind turbine out there that I don't work on every 6 months, because it's things that's connected to Mother Nature just eats on them and tears them down, and so anyway. But we'll get started on this. We've been in the top 10% for about 8 years, and the top 1% since 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. That's Fat Elvis. That's our first trailer, our small trailer, and then Moby. All our trucks and trailers are all wrapped like that. That's the Kardashian, except for Casper. Casper hadn't gotten wrapped yet. So you can put solar on your house. That's actually my house, and my name's Tommy. My foreman is the guy in the card on the other end. His name is Tommy also. So it's really easy for all our customers to remember. You can put it on your businesses. That's one thing that I just don't understand, why more businesses don't put solar on their roof, because they have all these massive roofs that you can put solar on. It's not intrusive to anybody because they can't see it on the roof. That's one thing they like about it. And it pays your electricity bill. Dollar for dollar, whatever you put into solar will replace the electricity bill. So it's not costing you any more than what you're already paying out. This is a ground mount that we do in schools. You can put them on the ground. If you have any land, that's my preferable. If you have land, it's a little bit more, just say $25 a module, more expensive than putting it on your house. But you don't have to worry about it. It's not on your house. You don't have to worry about taking it off or anything else. When you do put it on your house, your insurance company will. I've only had one customer out of, we've installed over 70,000 solar panels. And we've only had one customer that said that their insurance company actually raised their rate. Most insurance companies, some insurance companies, if you cover more than 30% of your roof, will actually give you a deduction because it actually protects the roof. That is a pole mount that we did at an elementary school here in Dallas, over there off of Lover's Lane. They were on the news for a while about the guy that teaches the garden class and everything over there at that elementary school, and the city of Dallas was taking money away from programs, so the family actually paid his wages so he could stay there at the school and paid for the solar out there. These are charging stations. Actually, this is over at Brookhaven College. The students that can go out and sit at those tables and plug in their laptops and their cell phones and charge them over there. Also, there's a pergola that we built for. There's a trail that runs all the way from Denton to downtown Dallas, and there's a bridge right there on the back of Brookhaven College that this pergola right there, you can see how we put the emblem in the middle of the solar panels, and then it broadcasts the shadow on the ground, on the floor. So they like that idea, and the solar, actually, there's charging stations there also, but on the right on the background, you can see the bridge that goes over that creek over there. There's a bunch of lights on it, and that solar there is powering all those lights also. So we've even put them on boathouses, so we've put them on tiny homes. You can put them on anything. Everybody, there's two questions that everybody asks.
I'm from Wiley.
Okay.
Yes, we have hail.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. First question is always, what if my roof leaks? We've installed over 70,000 panels, and I've never had a roof leak where the solar panels are mounted. And we've had roof leaks on the other side of the roof that we didn't put solar panels, but we were the last ones up there, so we fixed it. It wasn't any argument for that. And the second question is always hail. How do they hold up to hail? Well, I have never, out of 70,000 solar panels, ever replaced one. Even in Wiley, the hailstones was going through the decking, through the sheetrock, and breaking furniture inside the house, and I didn't have one single solar panel break. They're that tough. The moisture is the only thing that really will hurt a solar panel. The glass and everything on the front is very tough, like we said. Forklifts aren't very friendly to them, but other than that, the only way you can damage a solar panel is on the back of it. There's a plastic water barrier that seals it and everything. If you scratch the back of it, then it will degrade over time. Modules, almost all the modules are warranted for 25 years. How many things do you know that somebody would stand behind their warranty for 25 years, Because there's no moving parts. It's just one of those things that they guarantee that they will do 80% in 50 years. So, but this is a little video just to show you how tough they are. So yeah, they are very, very tough. Like I said, I have never replaced one from hail until about 3 months ago. There was 6, and I can't say that they were quality modules to begin with. Out in McKinney from that last hailstorm, it did not break the glass. What it did, it broke the module underneath the glass. So the little cells, the black areas there, the cells, it actually broke the cell underneath there, and it looked like little gold lightning underneath it. And that's the only way we could tell. They're still working. I have them in my shop, but we replaced those and gave them a bigger system. But they are tough. It's amazing. One of the first jobs that I did that, I don't know, 8 years ago over in Arlington, they had a tornado come across South Arlington right over 20. I had just put a system on a house over there, and I mean, it was like 2 days before we finished it, after we finished it. And so I heard about all the hail, and I turned on the news that morning, and the news people were standing in that couple's front yard. They were filming the house across the street because the tornado basically took the top of that house off. So I called him up and I said, dude, what does my solar panels look like? I wanted to know. He said we had 18 inches of hailstones, 18 inches deep in their front yard. Not a single solar panel was broke. He said the tornado came right over the top of their house, but we put the solar panels over the master bedroom and the son's bedroom, just the arrays are over that part because it needed to face south. Not by design, that was the best location for it. The tornado, not a single shingle was missing over the bedroom, their son's bedroom or their bedroom, not any damage whatsoever. But the living room, kitchen, and the garage was gone. And I'll show you in a little bit the process of why that happens. Actually, this is starting it. When we start a system, we'll draw it out on the roof with chalk. That way, first rain, the chalk is gone. But we find your joist. We have to actually find the joist, and we pre-drill a 5/16 hole to make sure we hit the center of the joist. We put some roofing pookie around it, and then we put this flashing over it. It's the same thing that, like your plumbing flashings over your roof and everything. They've used those for 100 million years, and seals the roof. Well, systems that we put on all have flashings on them. Now, I can't say that all solar sales companies use these things. They just will actually just screw a screw through your decking, and they don't have flashings and everything. To me, it's not worth my $5 that I have to put into this job to worry about somebody having a roof leak. That's why we've never had a roof leak at the solar modules. And some of the biggest name companies don't use flashings. Once we put the flashings down, then we'll put the rails on, and the rails is where the modules will be mounted. This system has microinverters. Under each module, it has its own inverter. It inverts, the modules produce DC electric. Each one of them produces about 36 to 42 volts DC. That little microinverter will invert that 40 volt DC to 240 volt AC. So then it's run through your house in AC just like the rest of your house is. That's a microinverter system. There's a strung system, kind of the first systems that we came out with years ago that we still use. It's more like the Christmas tree stuff, like you were saying a while ago. If one module goes bad, then what happens to the string? Well, on a strung system, on this microinverter system like this, each individual one is an individual string. They all are talking back to each other. they'll all say, hey, I'm okay, you're okay, or one's going, well, hey, something's wrong, I don't have the sun, but y'all take my power and everything and boost yours so you don't lose any power. They're very, very smart. The strung system, though, is kind of like your old Christmas tree lights. If one goes bad, usually the system won't go down because we're aiming for like 600 volts. We're stringing all these modules together to go up to, say, 500 volts. The new systems are 1,000 volts. The newest one that they're trying to come out with right now is 1,500 volts DC. If you've ever been shocked in your house with 120 volts AC, the reason why you can get off of AC is because it passes zero 120 times a second. In DC, it goes up to that voltage that you're at, and it never goes back to zero. So when you get hung up on DC, 600 volt DC, it hurts, and you have to really be mindful to take yourself and let yourself go, force yourself to get off of it. Tommy one day was bragging about he was the only one that's a member of our crew that wasn't a member of the 600 volt DC club. Well, he talked too quick, because that same day on the way out to Denton to the job, my other helper, we were inside the garage making up the inverter, and he was up on the roof and all, and he's about 250, 260, and you could hear him. It was picking him up and just flopping him like a whale on the beach, and he was hung up pretty good, and he finally got off of it and let go. He said, I didn't know whether just to fall off the roof or, what to do, but he finally got off, and it was, like I said, he talked a little too quick for that day. But once we put the rails up and all, then we put the modules on. All the wiring, one thing that the National Electric Code and all the inspectors look for is the wire management. All the wires need to be tie wrapped or strapped some way to the railing or the modules. They can't be hanging down on the roof because the wind will chafe that the insulations on the roof and all, and then you'll have bare wires and it can damage your system. Used to the wires that they used when they first came out years ago, it was like candy to squirrels. Squirrels just loved it. Well, the last 8 years, the wire manufacturers have put some stuff in the wire where varmints don't like it. So we don't have any of those problems anymore. And that's the end phase. That's the new IQ7. It's the newest one of their microinverters. And there'll be one of those underneath each module. Where I said there's one of these underneath each module and does the inverters independently like that. The strung system, you only have one inverter, and it'll be on your wall over there by your meter. We have to put a disconnect within 6 feet of your electrical meter for the power company to come over, and if they're working down line on your street or something, they don't want you to be backfeeding on to the grid while they are working on that system. So you have to sign an interconnect agreement, and we have to put a disconnect where they can come over there and turn your system off and put their padlock on it while they're working on the lines, and then they'll come back and turn it back on. Once they turn it back on, once we've set it all up, you don't have to worry about it. It will automatically come back up and start reporting and all that stuff. The thing about strung inverters is you can only monitor at the inverter. So if you have a strung system, you only have one place to monitor. You can only monitor the total amount of electricity that you're producing. Whereas in microinverters, you have an inverter at each module. You can actually tell, there's a map that I can show you that we do of your house, and you can see every single module how much they're producing. And if you have a problem, it makes it a good good troubleshooting tool for us because we can actually see which one is not working, and we can go up there in about 15 minutes to get it fixed. Where if it's a strong system, it'll take a couple hours to find which one is bad because it's like hunting for that light bulb in that Christmas tree string that you used to have to do. Like I said, modules are warranted for 25 years. Most of the inverters now have gone from a 10-year to a 25-year warranty. I've replaced the 3 out of 70,000 solar modules. We've probably replaced less than 1% of inverters. They're pretty good. And then all your penetrations in your deck, in your roof that's going into the attic, the wiring and everything, we put a solar deck on there, and it's actually got a flange like the other things, so you don't have any leaks. And there's 1,000 caution solar stickers on there. Everything has red and yellow stickers that has any kind of solar circuits in there. So the homeowners, any servicemen that you have working over there, your neighbor that thinks he's an electrician, everybody knows this is solar. This isn't normal electricity. Like I said, we have to put a disconnect beside the meter, and usually there's an inverter. If a strung system, the inverter would be the white box that's on the right of the disconnect. If it's an in-phase microinverter, there's a combiner box there that we combine all the circuits together before we take it to the disconnect. And then there's a breaker. Usually there's a breaker in your existing panel that we backfeed right into your panel. You have more pressure than the power company does. So you will use your electricity that you're creating in your house from your solar, you will use it first. Any access that you have, it will actually push it back out on the grid and turn your meter backwards. So during the day, we call what our legal time for solar is 9 a.m. to about 3 or 4 p.m. That's when you'll be producing 90% of all your solar. Although on a full moon night, you'll actually be producing solar with that full moon. The light fluffy clouds that we have sometimes, if they're white and kind of sparse up in the sky, it will knock a little bit of production down, but the 3 colors of light that actually make solar works penetrates right through those white clouds. The big black clouds like we've had yesterday and everything, yeah, your system might produce 1%, but they just work. But all your electricity will go through that disconnect, go back into your backfed breaker in your panel, and you will use yours, and then turn your meter backwards during the day, and then let the power company store it. You don't have to have batteries. It's called a grid tie system, and they by law they have to allow you to do that. So they'll store your electricity, and then at night when you don't have the solar, you just suck it back off the grid and turn your meter forward. And we try to get the system built where at the end of your billing cycle, you have produced at least 90% of what you've used. We can overbuild the system, but the cost of the system versus what you're actually giving back to the power company, you're actually, unless you're in Garland. I'm in the city of Garland. Garland Power and Light actually pays me for my overage, and there is some systems like Green Mountain. TXU has a solar program sometimes. I say it's like they pick and choose however they wake up in the morning, what side of the bed they get up on. So you have to be updated all the time which one has got a program on it. Our salesman knows all those guys, and they send us all that information all the time. But Green Mountain's kind of the big player of the solar industry. They're a 100% renewable generating company, and they will, on the end of the billing cycle of that month, if you have an overage, they'll actually book it for a month that you don't have enough. So 9 months a year, we build a system where 9 months a year it'll pay all your electricity and you'll have a little bit more. But in the summer, the 3 months of the hottest summer, the system isn't built to produce all the electricity there, but you have a little money left over from the winter, and so it pays it. Most of my customers say, I haven't had an electricity bill in 7, 8 years. My electricity bill at Garland Power and Light has been somewhere between $7 and $17 a month for the last 14 years. But I'm fixing to add a little more on it because they got that new program. And then you just let Mother Nature pay your electricity bill. It's very clean. I might be biased, but I don't think it's intrusive to the eye. It looks like a big window on your house. And I asked everybody that said, "Oh, those things are the ugliest things in the world," and everything. I said, "How often do you look at your neighbor's roof? You look at their front door in their yard, but how often do you look at their roof?" In the state of Texas, HOAs cannot refuse you to put solar on your house. They can make it a little hard for you, for us, because we handle all that kind of stuff to get the HOA approval. South Lake tied us up for 2 years, but the homeowner was persistent that he wanted solar on his $6 million house. It didn't even face the HOA. He was on the back of the property and everything, the HOA property and all, and they just thought that somebody was going to drive by their house and think those poor people didn't have enough money to pay for their electricity bill. So they had to put solar up there. Oh. But anyway, and then you just turn your meter backwards, like I was saying. The wind turbines, we talked a little bit about horizontal wind turbines. This is a vertical wind turbine that we've been working with Mike over at BE Wind. They actually are straight up and down, like you can see. The generators are at the bottom, so they turn in a helix design. This is actually a double helix design. L'Oreal, we put 12 of them on L'Oreal's, all the L'Oreal distribution centers. They have 9 distribution centers around the world, and we put those on all of them. The biggest one out there of Mike's, the BE Wind, is a 7 kW. So it's not a big, huge producer, but like the solar, you can't see it up there on the roof. So the companies want something to look green, so they put those 12 wind turbines in all their distribution centers. We've got a contract now to go put 2 of them up on all the Bank of America buildings. We're going to start with the one in Plano before Christmas. The nice thing about his, they have LED lights on them, so they light up at night. So for advertising, but that's pretty much my presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Have you had any experience where electricity might have blown out one of your inverters or cut the line on those panels?
Yeah, there's always. I've been an electrician since '76. I taught the 3rd and 4th year apprentices out at Northlake College for 18 years, and as much as we know how to control electricity, we don't know how to control it. It is done some of the most oddest things in the world. Why it would actually not go across this piece of wire right here and actually go across a piece of plastic that's not conductive. I did third-party investigations for the power company in the cities and all that stuff for years, and I got some really, really gross photos of people that got tied up and accidents and everything with electricity. And it's just, we just wonder why that happened. We try our best to do a study and figure out what happened and try to create an environment where it won't happen again. But there's some situations you're just like going, I don't know. You know, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but even the smartest guys are like going, we don't know either. So, you know, all right.
Let's kind of go. So I've seen some pictures of in San Diego where they're doing solar power in parking lots.
Right.
Where they put solar power above the cars to generate electricity during the day, and people are parking underneath. Have they done any of that here?
Well, actually, I met with this campus. I've met with this campus for projects the last couple of years, but last Tuesday I met with this college here that they're wanting to do that in all their parking lot, just to because, like you said, in California, there's enough parking lot here to pay for this electricity, and it doesn't cost you any more than what you're already paying the electrical company. So why wouldn't you? That's always my thing. We can finance it for a 13-year note and actually get your electricity bill $5 less than what you were paying the electricity company for 13 years. After you pay that note off, then you have free electricity. Well, if you stay with the electrical company, you'll pay that amount to the electrical company for the rest of the life. Plus, they're raising your rate every year 4 to 5%. So I don't know why people wouldn't, you know.
You're getting money back from Garland, but there's some areas that won't pay. They'll let the meter spin back, but they don't really pay you.
Right.
And is that Dallas doesn't pay?
Well, Encore is in Dallas. They don't really pay, but your billing company, you can sign up with TXU or Green Mountain, and they will. If you're on Encore systems, you can pick and choose whatever electrical billing company you want.
Okay.
Some of the co-ops don't allow that. Garland Power and Light. I'm on the city council over there. The Garland Power and Light actually owns the largest generating facility in the state of Texas. They own the one that Denton uses up in Denton, but then we use the ones over there in Garland that we have it, and the biggest one's down down by College Station. It's sitting there idle right now because it's a coal fire, but. You know, the more we do sustainable to maintain what you're using on your property, like creating your own electricity, saving your own rainwater that's coming off your roof. I have like 30,000 gallons of rainwater at my house because I'm about 50% flower garden, front yard and backyard, and my wife is a flower nut, and I'm a hole digger, so. You know, so it works well. So we water all that kind of stuff. All right.
My home is a solar system right now, and actually we don't have batteries, but daytime we just send energy, generated the electricity we send back to the power company. Only evening we use our own, so we reduce the utility bill. However, I read the internet news about the hurricane in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Those solar panels being destroyed cannot even be recycled. So what do you think about the sustainability of environment?
For recycling them?
Yes.
That's you know, like everything, we create stuff for one-time use, and then we bury it in the ground. But that's something that we do need to come up with a better source, just like all the plastic and all that stuff, the plastic islands that are floating around out in our oceans. We haven't gotten a good answer for all that kind of stuff. But
So I have a question. I would say you showed a lot of good examples of residential and commercial installation. What about community solar?
Well, there are environments that there's a situation that was built on the other side of Red Oak, California, and Phoenix has done a lot of that, where a community, a HOA has built their own power plants, like at a park. I'm involved right now with the biggest thing right now is we've gotten solar panels, the modules and the inverters working really, really well. The next thing is actually batteries, how to store that electricity during the day. I can't say a brand that has a emblem that begins with the first letter of my name. They are very good marketers. They're fantastic marketers. And their cars are really pretty good. But their batteries have no place being in your home. They will catch on fire. Yeah, well, the battery systems won't really ever pay for themselves like the solar will. But we can actually reduce the amount of solar to put on your house if you backfeed what you were putting back out on the grid, if you backfeed it into a battery and then at night use it off that battery. Or, you know, we just had that tornado come through and a lot of people didn't have power and everything. If you had a battery system, then you have your own emergency power. I tell everybody when they start talking about batteries, I just said, well, it's like this. I can do enough battery power at a cost that you'll like if you want to go camping whenever you lose power. But if you want your whole house, you know, there's a 3-story house that's hanging off the cliff and on Lake Grapevine. His battery room's bigger than this room, you know, and we had to pour a 16-inch slab just to hold all the weight. But, you know, if you got enough money to throw it away, I'll spend it any way you want me to.
But batteries are expensive, $9,000.
Right. But, yeah, the Sonnen battery is a German company, German engineered company. They have a lithium battery. There's always another product that's mixed in with lithium to actually make it store electricity. The ones with the single-digit name company, the product that they mix it with is very, very flammable. The ones that Sonnen uses, it's not flammable. You can cut it in half with a hacksaw. It was such a good company that Shell Oil just bought them. So, and Shell Oil is trying to push all that stuff. There's a 600-unit apartment complex that is on plans for the city of Dallas, and we are going to put a Sonnen battery system in each and every one of those just to start creating. We're going to put enough solar so they will be 100% sustainable within their walls.
Before you wrap up, Thomas, time is almost out. Would you address the solar tax credits and how that's going to change?
The tax credits this year ends the 30% tax credit. Whatever we do for you to put solar up, if we build you a pergola and put the solar up, the structure that's holding the solar up, everything is 30% tax deductible. If you need a new roof, we'll put the new roof on. That's 30% tax deductible. If you want a carport, we can build you a pergola big enough to put your car under, but you can't call it a carport. It's 30% tax deductible. It's all in the way you word things.
What happens in 2020?
Yeah, and next year it goes from 30% down to 26. And then each year after there, it will reduce until you don't have any more credits.
That's only advantageous if you're a commercial tax-paying entity, not for a school district or a publicly funded institute. You don't get those tax credits. So is there any other incentives that we can get other than we just pay for them?
There is, PACE is a program that actually finances stuff like this and all. So there is incentives through them. Yeah. Yeah, in the city of Garland, we're not. Dallas is. Garland is not yet. We have. They won't incorporate a new city until there's a project that they deem is financeable and everything. And yeah, your homes are any kind of your tax deduction for your home or your business is, like I said, cities kind of have problems with that.
You talked about the newer technologies going from 600 to 1,000 to 1,500 rep. Are they any smaller footprint so that, let's say you have a roof that gets really good sunlight for 2/3 of it, but not the other third. Are the newer technologies making smaller footprints at all?
Well, the voltage is not. That doesn't really have anything to do with the footprint. But every year, if you come over to my booth over there in Building C, I got a module sitting up over there. That was last year's module. I think it was 310 watt. Every 2 months, it's going up another 5 to 10 watts, the same size module. We're putting up 400 watts right now, less than two years. I mean, so when I started out 19 years ago, we're putting 90 watt modules we thought were huge, you know. And like I said, we're doing the LG 400s right now. You can almost any module out there on the market, the top tier modules are within a hair difference of each other. There's SunPower. I do install SunPower. I'm a SunPower dealer. They claim that they're the most efficient one out there. Well, the 3 times price that it costs you for those, add one more module, and you got more power than the other ones would produce. So, you know, it's kind of like if you have to buy that Cadillac instead of a Chevrolet, you know, go with SunPower or the big first letter company. But other than that, they're so close in competition with all that kind of stuff.
There are some stories out there that the solar panels create a magnetic field that is harmful to people's health. What do you know about that?
I have never heard the story, but I know there's all that kind of stuff.
Some things on the internet.
Yeah, it's just like people think that their power company's meter is, and I can't. Yeah, killing them, you know, through just the meter itself. It didn't have anything to do with electricity. As far as electricity goes, I've been an electrician all my life. Did power company substations and everything, and there's always something that's going to kill somebody, you know. So I never thought that people would be allergic to apples or peanuts, you know, but, you know, yeah. So there's always going to be something that's going to kill you one way or the other. The only thing I want to say about sustainability, the solar is great and everything. One thing that I always like to leave with everybody, I'm not really a tree hugger, but I am for anything that works. I love trees. Put me in the mountains, I love it. But taking care of our world is one thing that I really push, and also taking care of each other. I'm a volunteer chaplain for the state of Texas prison system. I work with guys 5 to 6 years before they get out, and when they do get out, I do offer them a lot of assistance. We give them clothes. The state gives them one pair of clothes that doesn't match to go out and have interviews on and everything, and $50 to go somewhere. We support them a lot through different programs that we associated with, and you're homeless. I wasn't always. We are the number one solar subcontractor in the state of Texas. I was actually homeless for 3 years, and there was a pastor that drugged me out of the streets and drugged me back in the church, and then I had the drug problem of getting drugged back in the church, and that's been 35 years ago. This is my second company that I've started and doing well, and give somebody a helping hand. That's all we ask. We can be sustainable for everything in our life, but the biggest thing you want to do is be sustainable to your brothers and sisters. Thank you.